Hello friends, today we are going to transform an old table we found in a second-hand store and we paid $5 for into a nice chess table. Chess is one of my favorite games, and chess tables tend to be fairly expensive for no good reason other than they're a specialty item, right? So stick around if you would like to see us transforming an ordinary $5 second-hand table into a nice chess table for long-time enjoyment with family and friends. Friends, welcome to the channel. If today is the first time visiting with us, we want to extend you a very warm welcome and invite you to review any of our almost 400 videos that we have arranged for your convenience in playlists, as we are very confident that you will find something both enjoyable and useful. If you've been here before but you have not subscribed, do subscribe, and also make sure to hit the bell so you will receive notifications every time we post a new video, which is midweek and on the weekends. If today is your birthday, we want to extend to you a very happy birthday. So this is our table, and we're going to start by doing some disassembly. As you can see, the top of the table is in disrepair, and we are going to sand it down to a nice smooth finish before we proceed. But there are some characteristics that this table has that I like. For example, it has a very nice drawer that will be perfect for putting our pieces in. It is a little wobbly, so we'll have to make some repair, but that will be another video. Today we'll concentrate on how to prepare the top edge and on how to make this a surface that will be ready for a chessboard. So I hope this will give you some good information and good techniques for your projects, along with ideas on how to refinish a good find of an older table or a second-hand table you have, or a table you have that you don't want anymore and you want to repurpose it to something else. So I've put the table here on my bench top upside down so I can observe how it is constructed and decide what things we need to modify or any, and also to take it apart. As I said, I want to take it apart, and then in a different episode we'll put it back together, and what the changes we make, we're going to show you how to refinish the whole table. So if you come close here, you're going to see that the drawer has a nice top there, but it has nothing to prevent it from moving right and left. So I'm going to put some stops there, so when you pull the drawer out, it stays true. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I don't know, I guess my hand took your light away, didn't it?
Yeah, but that's okay because I can see the space now. Yeah.
So you see, there's something similar to that. I mean, it would be a very simple thing, but it would be on both sides.
On either side.
Right, because you see how much it turns now, right?
Yeah.
So that is not good. So let's start by removing the table drawer out, and it has a little bit of a lip protection, and I will show it to you. It's that little plastic that you have to press out, and all that does is prevent the drawer from coming all the way out and falling off. Yeah. So now we have this off, and we're going to take the legs off. We haven't done anything since we purchased this, and it looks like most of the nuts are already loose. As you can see, I can do it with my hand. Do you have enough light there or not?
Yeah.
So we're going to do that in all of them, and we're going to be right back to you. I mean, there is nothing exciting here. We're just taking screws off. So we removed all the bolts and we put them inside the drawer so we'll know where they are. They will be kept safe. And without the bolts, this part of the assembly will simply come off. Very anticlimactic, right? But now we're left with what seems to me to be fairly well constructed, don't you think?
Yeah, it looks like very solid.
And we can instead put it now on our bench top, and we're going to start sanding the surface to make it ready for our next steps. Also,
you can see why this was given up and kind of why it needs a facelift.
or the bottoms of the legs and the little shelf are held using pocket screws, which tell us that this is not an antique piece, right? And it is a little dirty, but that's okay. So I'm going to set this aside in the garage, and we're going to revisit it after we finish the rest of it. So now we're going to prep this area, and there is a little damage here. I don't know if it is visible on the, but that doesn't bother us, you know.
Little chips here and there.
A lot of the things have already come off, like here, you know. But this is not something we care about right now because we plan to go with the sander throughout the piece, right? Is that correct? Okay, so let us get ready and we'll be right. You know what grid that is? That is probably 80, right? 60.
60, yeah.
Now,
Rough.
yeah, the grid is not important where you start because all we want to do is take all this material and damage off in as fast a way as possible. We have our dust collection fan here to help us with collecting the dust, apparently, right?
Yeah.
Which I know sounds like an amazing construct. But now we are getting ready to start the process of getting the surface, the top surface ready. So you ready?
Just about.
You can put it on where it says 2. That is live. All right, and let the games begin. Yes, you have to hold. The sanding process, and the results are really good. And now we're going to show you how we're going to proceed in finding the dimensions we need to transfer the table.
So we need to find a place to mark the diameter of this circle exactly in the middle. And so we need to find the widest part and figure out how much that is. So it looks like it's right at 19, maybe 19 and a 16th of an inch. And so we're going to move it a little bit just to make sure it stays that way. Make sure that we're kind of going with the grain as much as we can. Looks about right. What do you think?
Yep.
And so now we're going to mark it with our pencil. Right?
Yep. And now we need to make another one that it is perpendicular to this. Find 19 again. I'm sorry, our ruler is reflective. We're doing the best we can. Okay.
I might have missed the middle on this one.
Draw the line is the middle.
I know, but this pie is looking bigger than this pie. That's what I'm saying. I feel like I missed it.
This is something that you need to measure and measure again and make sure it is correct. And we were a little off, so we double and triple checked until we were correct. We found the middle of the line and we make sure that the intersection is approximately in the middle of the line. All right, with our 2 lines drawn by our 2 diameters, we are going to now connect the 4 points each of them to the adjusted one, not jumping, you know, so this point to this point, this point to this point, this point to this point, right?
Yep.
Okay. So we're going to connect those and see what dimension that are those, and they should define, mathematically speaking, they should define a square, right?
Yep.
Okay, so our square end up having sides that are about 13 and a half, is that correct? So a chessboard has 8 squares per side, so we need a 1.67, have a, you know, it's a decimal, so we decided 1.7. So we're going to make 1.7 marks in essence in all of them, right? In all the lines, and then we're going to connect the marks. So I connect the dots, right? So this is a straightforward process. We're not going to bore you by making you following along, but we're going to show you the end result. So stick around. Tick marking the areas is a little tedious, so we decided to do it on 2 sides and then just use the square and go straight up, meeting the other side, and that will give us the board, the chessboard. As you see, the other side here we have not made tick marks, so we only do in 2 adjacent sides the tick marks, and that again is just to save us a little bit of time and effort. So as you can see, we finish our markings and our chessboard start taking shape. So the next thing, we are going to have to use painter's tape and do some masking so we can start doing the staining. And we decided we're going to stain the darks in a dark stain and leave the white, correct? So let us do a little bit of masking, and we're going to use a typical blue painter's tape for this process. And of course all of you know how to do that. We're not going to bore you with that process, but we're going to mask the one side. We have to do masking twice. Do it, let it dry, and then come back to it, right? So we're going to show you how it looks masked in just a moment. And we do use the lines we already draw as the guide, correct? Oh yeah, I have forgotten about that. We need to do that as well. So the taping process is that you have to alternate your tape side because of the alternating pattern between dark and white squares, right?
Yep.
And we'll have to do it twice. We cannot find another way to do it other than masking individual squares, which at a minimum looks tedious to me. And here is the first masking. Again, the only other way we can think to do this is to mask each individual square that doesn't have to be stained, and that seems to be a very painstaking process. So we did this first masking, and then we're going to paint some or stain some of the squares we want dark. Some of them are covered, but we have to do it again a second time, and in that second time everything will end up being correct, right?
Yep.
All right, folks, so there is method to our madness. Stick around, or at least we hope so. Or we're going to create a very mad chess board, right?
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll stay with you. If we mess up, you will see it. If we do it perfectly, you will see it. So just stick around. Okay, I think we should do it, and then we'll just take the tape off immediately. Alright, so we'll complete the process and we'll be right back with you. Okay, so we have the ones that we have designated as dark already banded, and we're going to remove the tape so we're not going to allow the stain to leach in and stain it. So if you go ahead and remove it. You did.
Sure did. Damn it. I was afraid of putting too much on.
So it looks like we have a little problem to solve, but you know.
Do it on all of them. Some worse than others.
No, it's the opposite. The ones that have been left more are worse. That is, the tape is just for paint, not for stain. We didn't keep the stain in. Maybe we should have used paint instead of stain.
That took up some of the wood.
Okay, the idea is good. The execution left us a little wanting. We're going to try to figure out how to correct this. And also the stupid tape removed some wood fibers out of our table, which was unexpected, but hey, it's all part of woodworking. Problem solving, right? To experiment with another technique, and that is using an old playing card from an old deck we don't use as the edge, and see if that gives us a better result. Of course, that will only work if the problem was not the tape. If the problem was that the wood absorbs the stain, then this technique will not help us either.
See, it's not really even helping.
So it is the wood absorbing the stain.
Yep. That's what it is.
So our second approach didn't help either. Let's go to the third one. So we decided to freehand this process and try and see if with the white paint, we're going to use white paint instead of leaving it. My idea is when the dark part was finished to just leave it, right? If that does not work, the next step will be to really spray paint the whole thing white and then redo the grid. Isn't that fun?
Oh, yeah.
At least we have the dimensions now, right? And redo it. So depending on how long all this will take, this might have been a failed project that will finish next week. But in either case, we're going to tell you what we're doing. And this is part of it. We have not tried this before. One of the risks when you buy furniture, like we bought this from a second-hand store, we really don't know what kind of wood it is. And this wood seems to be unbelievably absorbent. It was not the tape at all. This grain, whatever it is, seems to absorb the stain and just blotches it all over the place. But the process works, I would say. What do you think?
On the plus side, I'm getting better at keeping it within the square.
There you go. There is always a plus side. So here all the black squares painted. And my original thought was that at this point we would be done. I wanted the original wood to be the lighter side and then the dark to be the black, you know, the black and white traditional. Now from a distance it does look like a chessboard, right? Chessboard. But the reality is that the absorption problem that we have faced is something that we need to address. And we have a couple of ideas that if they do not work, in essence we'll have to paint the top of the table and start over. So let's see if our ideas pan out to be or not. The original concept worked, the mathematics work, our measuring, everything worked fine. But what spoiled us was this type of wood, which I have no idea what it is, but it is so absorbent that literally, no matter what we tried, and if you have another idea of what we could have tried, please let us know. But the things we could think simply did not fix the problem. So stick around and see how we're going to try to address it. So we decided to use white latex paint because latex should not be absorbed by the wood fibers, and if that works, that will be fantastic. If it doesn't, we're simply going to paint the whole table white, and we are going to simply start the process of marking again and use paint on top of the paint to have the desired effect. That's a big stick you're having there. It's kind of interesting because when I'm here, at least in camera, it looks perfect. I mean, everything aligns. I mean, but we would never play camera tricks on you guys. We didn't succeed in this attempt, and we want to show you what we're going to try to do to get the final product that we actually want. Correct?
I'm going to start right over here.
I almost gave it the thought of leaving it like that. It is kind of wonky and quirky, but Miss Wizard doesn't really like wonky and quirky. She's into perfection.
It's not going to be perfect, but you know, closer to the original intent, let's just say.
I don't know. Better than perfect, no?
No.
No?
No.
That is Peter Mckinnon's motto. Better than perfect. But we'll see if this seems successful. We're going to finish it that way. Otherwise, as I said, we'll probably use this paint and paint over the whole tabletop and start over with the design. But we're going to get with you in a few moments. In order to make the process a little faster and a little easier, we're using that old discarded card we tried before, but with the paint it seems to be working much better than it worked with the stain, don't you think?
Yeah.
So that allows us to have a very nice straight edge.
Until then. Until right then it didn't.
It was fine. Again, some imperfections I don't mind because it is a handcrafted thing, right? I don't really think that handcrafted things have to be perfect. That makes them unique and gives them more value than something that is mass produced.
Agreed.
So we'll see. So we have finished the actual board, as you can see, and now we're going to finish the outline of the board. And we have chosen a nice soft blue color. Don't know how soft it is, but it is blue. And we're using a stir stick as a straight edge, I guess is the best way to describe it, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to do that and we're going to get back with you. Okay, and here is the finished product. As you can see, it looks very nice. It changed from our original design by necessity, and that is okay. You have to have the flexibility to change the project if for some reason something doesn't work exactly the way you want it. In the end, I'm very pleased with it. How about you?
Yep, it's a little wonky, but it's got personality.
Wonky. Well, it is clearly handmade and hand painted, and I think that makes it both more valuable and special, you know? Not something you can go out and buy, and that is part of my theme and what I like, but when you look at it, it is very clear what it is. And of course you can play here with the colors We chose the light blue because we both like it. You can just continue with white, right? Or choose another color. There are many different options that you have as you're finishing the piece. So here's the table put together. We have more work to do on the table. We're thinking of painting the shelf there, and we have to finish the drawer, but we need to leave that to dry, right? Completely, and then probably I will polyurethane it to make it a little waterproof, especially since this wood has proven itself to be very absorbent. Is that the right term? But you can see the end result, and we are, I think, both happy with the end result. And what you see there is the little drawer missing. We've not installed it yet. But overall, we are happy with how this finish came about, even though it was not what I originally envisioned starting the project. And again, that is okay. Sometimes you have to do that. Well, we've reached the end of another episode, and we hope you enjoyed it. The final product is something that we enjoy. We thought it is very close to what we envisioned, even though we did some learning today. And that is, the choice of your finish is not always dictated by what you like. For example, I like bare wood, and I wanted the white parts to be bare, and Miss Wizard likes stain, so I was thinking to have stain and bare wood, but that did not work very well, as you probably noticed. So sometimes you have to rethink your process, and one of the good things about latex paint, which is what we use for the white, is that it can cover pretty much everything, including a dark color. And so this worked very well for us. And then the perimeter, it was a matter of taste. There is no right or wrong way there, right? You can do whatever works best for you or works best for your decor. We think that those three colors go well together, and we tend to like them. So we have some learnings today. First of all, be flexible. If something doesn't work exactly the way you envision it, it is okay. Don't panic. Change your plans. Try something different. And frankly, I had a plan C too if this didn't work for some reason, and that was to paint over the whole thing and start again with just paint. So it's never lost. I mean, there is no great damage. It is okay to experiment. Feel free to experiment. Experimentation is always a good thing when you work, right? I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, please smash that like button. If you didn't, hit the other button twice, but remember, every time you hit the dislike button, a kitten dies somewhere. Share, like, subscribe, and comment. Let us know what you think of this video and what other videos you would like us to make. From the Garage Wizard, Mrs. Wizard, and the Urban Homesteading channel, with special thanks to Mrs. Wizard that did a lot of the painstaking work on this table. We bid you a great week, and we are going to see you next week.